Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu rasulillah. Wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man sara sabilihi ila yawmiddin. Amma ba'd. So in continuing discussing the book Al-Muqtasar Ahadith al-Siyam by Shaykh Abdullah ibn Salih al-Fawzan Hafidullah Tabaraka Ta'ala. We're in this particular book that he covers concerning three main topic regarding Ramadan. So of those things that he covers regarding some of the matters relating to Ahadith, regarding Ahadith about fasting and the Ahkam regarding Ramadan. Then he discussed As-Siyam. Then also he discussed concerning Ahadith about the last 10 days of Ramadan. And then he discussed concerning matters concerning that he referred to as matters, Ahadith about what is after Ramadan. So we have completed concerning the first two chapters regarding the Ahadith that relates to the Ahkam of Ramadan, and also the Ahadith that he mentioned regarding matters pertaining to the last 10 days of Ramadan. So today, inshallah ta'ala, that we hope to complete this particular book, the reading of this particular book, which is discussing concerning Ahadith about what is after Ramadan. And the author, Hafidullah Tabaraka Ta'ala, that he mentioned 4 Ahadith regarding this particular matter, and regarding of those things to look forward to, all those things that comes, one should pay attention to after Ramadan. So we're starting concerning the first of those hadith that he mentioned, and it's the hadith that he mentioned, and Abi Ayyub al-Ansari radiyallahu anhu, أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من صام رمضان ثم أتبعه 6 من شوال فكأنما صام الدهر كله رواه Muslim. So the hadith that he mentioned here is the hadith of Abu Ayyub al-Ansari radiyallahu anhu, that stated, narrated that the Messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, whoever fasts Ramadan and follows it up with 6 days after Shawwal, it is as if he fasted continuously. That's concerning Rawahu Muslim. So that's concerning the hadith, the author Hafidullah Tabaraka Ta'ala, he mentioned first regarding of those things that one should pay attention to after Ramadan. So that matter, so he discussed concerning this particular hadith regarding concerning of those matters that relates to after Ramadan. So the first hadith is discussed concerning of those matters that can be said to be regarding concerning, is an hadith that he mentioned here is an evidence regarding the virtue of fasting after Ramadan, and in this case in specific regarding the month of Shawwal. So the month of Shawwal is after, immediately the month after Ramadan, and of that month that we have things that regarding As-Siyam that we are encouraged to carry to fulfill, and this is concerning the person fasting at least 6 days of Shawwal. So fasting at least 6 days of Shawwal. This is concerning of those things that relates to fasting the month of fasting after Ramadan. So the author rahimahullah, he mentioned this particular matter. So from the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as a form of having consistency, and also regarding if the person, and the reward for this, if the person was to after Ramadan fast an additional 6 days, as if the person had fasted the entire continuously. So that's concerning ad-dahr, meaning concerning the entire year, the person that fasts for the entire year. So that's concerning this particular hadith that is mentioned. So as for concerning what is mentioned regarding fasting Shawwal, so of those matters that is discussed between the ulama is regarding fasting the month of Shawwal. As for fasting Shawwal, there's many discussion regarding this particular matter. First, what's the hukum regarding fasting Shawwal? So the general hukum regarding fasting the month of Shawwal, and Shawwal concerning 6 days of Shawwal. The ulama rahimahullah on this matter regarding our fasting of Shawwal, that you'll find that the ulama that they have mentioned, that Jumhur of the ulama have mentioned the permissibility of this. So Jumhur of the ulama, they mention it's something which is mustahab for a person to fast Shawwal. So regarding concerns to the fuqaha rahimahullah, as we mentioned that of the ulama who all concerning fasting 6 days after in the month of Shawwal after Ramadan, then it's something which is mustahab to be done. That's the view that is taken by the Hanafiya fi Mukhtar, and the more correct view also is the view taken by the Shafi'iyah, the Hanabila, and the Malikiyah. So you find that from the madhahib, that the Ahnaf, amongst them, that they take to this, they're aligned to that view. Also, the ulama of the Shafi'iyah, the Malikiyah, and also of the Hanabila. And their dalil regarding the permiss that it is something which is mustahab, something which is encouraged to be done. They use the hadith that was mentioned. They use the hadith of Abu Ayyub al-Ansari regarding man sama Ramadan, that the one who fasts Ramadan, then after follows this with 6 days of Shawwal, and they mentioned sittan atba'hu, sittan min Shawwal, the one who follows this up with 6 days of Shawwal, then this is something that they mention it is mustahab. The second view regarding this matter is the view of those ulama who hold it something which is makruh, that they hold it is something which is disliked to be done. So the second view of the ulama on this topic is that they hold it is something which is disliked. So it is disliked for the person to fast these 6 days of Shawwal. And that's the view that is the madhab of the Malikiyah, and also it's the qawl of some of the Hanafiyah, that it is disliked for one to fast these days of Shawwal, these 6 days of Shawwal. And the evidence that they use regarding those who say it is disliked, this is the hadith that is mentioned, that is in the Muslim, that they said that the hadith is da'if, of some who mention the hadith is da'if, and that is actually a qawl of the Sahabi, not a hadith going back to the Prophet ﷺ. So they said this is their, but overall concerning that view is, the more correct view is the first view. So the correct view of the ulama, based upon the hadith that is very straightforward and clear on this topic, regarding that is something which is mustahab, that a person fasts 6 days after, in the month of Shawwal, after Ramadan. As for these 6 days, then they are to be done as specified in the hadith, min Shawwal. They are to be done in the month of Shawwal. So no other month it is to be carried out except this particular month of Shawwal. So the person trying to complete those 6 days within Shawwal. If the person attempted to fast these 6 days of Shawwal but was unable to complete this, then the person, there's nothing upon him. He doesn't need to make it up after Shawwal. So that's concerning of those matters that they discuss. Another matter to discuss regarding this particular topic, and you have the ulama of the Mashaykh and the ulama who have written specifically on this particular topic. They have mentioned concerning another matter, which is the matter regarding concerning is it allowed for the one who has days to make up after Ramadan for them to fast these 6 days before they complete those days that are missed. So meaning, if someone have days that are missed in the month of Ramadan and in the month of and Shawwal, should he make up those days first before he fasts the days of Shawwal? So that's concerning a matter to be that of the discussion between the ulama, that one who has missed days of Ramadan, is that person expected to make up the before fast those days of Shawwal, or is it permissible for him to fast the days of Shawwal, then after fast the days that are missed in Ramadan? So that's concerned that the matter is discussed between ulama, and based upon this, that they fall into two views. So they take two positions on this. So the first opinion on this concerning that those who always did something which is mamnu'a, it is something which is not allowed, wa adamu sihha, and the one who was to fast these days, the one who missed days of Ramadan, and they were to fast the days of Shawwal before, they hold that this is something which is mamnu'a, something which is they hold it is something not to be done. It is not to be done, and also it is not valid. So all that fasting is not a valid fast, because the person still have days of Ramadan that are missed, that he has not made up. And they use as a dalil regarding their position, and those who align to that view is the madhab of the Hanabila, is the madhab taken by the ulama of the Hanabila. Also is the view that is taken by Ibn Rajab al-Mukhtar, the view that is the view of Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali, and also of contemporary is the view taken by Sheikh bin Baz and also Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen. So Sheikh Abdul Aziz bin Baz, rahimahullah, and also Sheikh Muhammad ibn Salih ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah, that also is of this view, that a person is not allowed to fast those 6 days until they have completed the days that are missed of Ramadan. And their evidence for this particular view is the hadith that is mentioned. Man sama, so they said the hadith, Man sama Ramadan, the one who have fasted Ramadan. Thumma atba'ahu, that the one who have completed, meaning the one who have fasted Ramadan, means that the one who have fasted Ramadan, that he has completed the days that is expected of him to fast in the month of Ramadan, which is either 29 or 30 days. So the person who have completed fasting is Ramadan, either by the person fasted those days in the month of Ramadan, all of those days, or if the person missed days, then the person have to make them up to have said that he has fasted Ramadan. Clear? So that's concerning that matter. So they mentioned Man Sama Ramadan. They mentioned after you have completed your fast of Ramadan, you have fasted the entire days of Ramadan, whether by way of during the month of Ramadan or after Ramadan, you have completed the days that you are supposed to fast. You have done all the days required. This are the second hadith, which is concerning that as a general advice. So they serve as a general advice regarding al-istiqamah ba'd Ramadan, being steadfast after Ramadan. So he mentioned the hadith and Sufyan ibn Abdullah radiyallahu anhu قال قلت يا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كل لي في إسلام قولا لا أسأل عنه أحدا بعدك قال صلى الله عليه وسلم قل آمنت بالله ثم استقم رواه مسلم. So he mentioned this hadith in the Muslim as the hadith meaning that Sufyan ibn Abdullah radiyallahu anhu said, I asked the Messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I said to the Messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, tell me a statement in Islam that I will not need to ask anyone about after you. He said, say, I believe in Allah, and then remain upright, remain steadfast. Reported by Imam Muslim in his Sahih. So that's concerning this hadith with the general advice regarding of those things, regarding that a person should pay attention to after Ramadan, which is al-istiqamah. So the author here, he mentioned regarding a hadith, that this hadith is an evidence that the worshipper is ordered after having Iman in Allah, the Most High, that he remains steadfast in obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's concerning of those things, and also for a person in doing what is commanded and also avoiding those things that are prohibited. So that's concerning of those things regarding al-istiqamah. So istiqamah regarding concerning after Ramadan, that's so istiqamah in this case is in general regarding the person in his belief. So I mentioned قُلْ آمَنْتُ بِاللَّهِ, say you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then remain upright. So after belief, then a Muslim should strive in remaining steadfast upon his deen and holding firm to his deen. And this is by the person fulfilling those things that are requested of him, by way of those commands that is expected or a must upon him that he should do. So he tries to uphold those things, and also that a person avoids those things that are forbidden upon him. So that's concerning istiqamah. So doing those things that we have been instructed by carrying out those acts, and also that we avoid those things that have been made prohibited upon us. And istiqamah, that it falls into different areas regarding a person of istiqamah, upright and being steadfast regarding his Iman. So being steadfast regarding his Iman. So the person trying to hold to Iman and try to preserve his Iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his Rasul alayhi salam, and also Islam. So striving regarding preserving and protecting one's Iman and increasing of one's Iman, that is something with the Muslim that he should give priority. So being upright, being steadfast regarding one's Iman and one's faith, and protecting oneself from shubahat. So things concerning doubts regarding one's deen, one's faith, then a person try to protect himself from these things and try to avoid these things of shubahat. Then second of al-istiqamah, that a person regarding is amal, is ibadah. So a person also try to preserve his ibadah. So is salah, also is siyam, and also his other duties to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he tries to preserve those things. So try to be upright and preserve those things. So is acts of ibadah, try to do things according to the sunnah in the way he prays, to the best of his according to his knowledge. So already also istiqamah regarding ibadah, and also regarding his istiqamah regarding his akhlaq wal adab. So the Muslim also regarding preserving concerning his adab and his akhlaq, upholding the principle of Islam regarding things regarding our conduct and behavior. So the Muslim try not to get be overcome by the ways of others, and to be influenced by others in their ways of behavior and conduct and their general practice. So the Muslim regarding concerning his Islam, and out of the thing that he tried to preserve is concerning his Iman, also his duties, his practice, is carrying on acts of obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also that the Muslim tried to preserve regarding also his akhlaq, his manners and his conduct, and not to be influenced by others, and which have negative influence upon us. Then after the author rahimahullah, and regarding concerning al-istiqamah regarding Ramadan, of those things the Muslim that he tries also to continue after Ramadan is voluntary fasts. Try to uphold those voluntary fasts. So continuing regarding the habit of fasting. So upholding those voluntary fasts regarding fasting in the week, Mondays and Thursdays, in the month, any 3 days of the month. Also the Ayyam al-Bid, which is the middle of the month, the 13th, 14th, and 15th, and also those other fasting that are advisable regarding concerning Ashura and otherwise, and other fasting to the person, try to be consistent regarding as-siyam. So upholding those fasting that are mustahab, that occurs throughout the year. Then after the author rahimahullah tabarak ta'ala, he mentioned concerning the third hadith. So he mentioned concerning the hadith that follows, which will be the third hadith in this chapter, that he mentioned after the hadith of Sufyan, that he mentioned of those things, the hadith that follows concerning hadith of Aisha anha, قالت كان يكون علي الصوم من رمضان فما استطع أن أقضيه إلا في شعبان متفق عليه. So then mention the hadith, that is the hadith of Aisha anha, regarding concerning that the hadith here is, she mentioned certain things of her. This is the hadith by way of the Prophet that she mentioned regarding her situation during the time of the Prophet ﷺ. So it becomes a hadith of something that he approved of. So we come off those things there. He approved of regarding the action of others. So Aisha anha give an account regarding her situation regarding siyam. As she mentioned, كان يكون علي الصوم من رمضان. That as the hadith he mentioned, I used to fast from Ramadan, and I wasn't able to make up until Sha'ban. And the hadith is muttafaqun alayh. The hadith is narrated by Bukhari and Muslim. The hadith is agreed upon. So from this hadith, it becomes an evidence shown regarding concerning that that the one regarding concerning al-qadha,